Boom. Welcome back to the Roy West Radio Show. That was Elizabeth Waddell. Fascinating what's going on with our national parks. The great National Parks Act that was just passed, which is also amazing. But you know that she referenced Vivian Todd and how Vivian Todd actually introduced her to allow her to move up into the national arena with regard to being an advocate for our national parks. And so I thought, who better to have on the show than the one and only magnificent Vivian Todd. Good morning, Vivian.
Good morning, Charlie. Thank you for having me on the show.
So good. And so listen, just real quick for everybody, can you just kind of take us back to Elizabeth Waddell and that lunch where you brought her together with this group that she's gone on to do some really amazing things?
Gladly.
Yeah.
I have been involved with National Parks Conservation Association because I just believe in the great outdoors. And one of the Texas representatives for NPCA was coming to Beaumont, and she always stays with us, and Jerry Todd always makes the fabulous martinis. And she said, is there anyone that you would want to bring to lunch at Catherine's, and just it's kind of like-minded thinking like we are, and we'd like to broaden our base. And I'm like, bam, Elizabeth Waddell is perfect. So she came and met Suzanne Dixon, and the rest is history. She is a phenomenal person, and I love her, and she and I are very like-minded.
She's awesome, and I consider her a good friend. And so she goes national. You've been national. You come back and are now very heavily invested locally. I mean, particularly going all the way back to the Horizon, whatever we want to call that oil spill that happened out there, BP Horizon. And I know even from a Jefferson County perspective, if you want to limit it to that the county judge doing beach restoration, doing marsh restoration out there, and you've gotten really involved. And as a matter of fact, not to jump out there and mention anything, but you've just gotten some acclaim, correct? From the work that you've done. Oh, looky there.
I could wear it as a necklace.
And
this, I guess it's a bronze piece. I received this on Friday in the mail. It was such a fabulous surprise from Jeff Brannick's office, and the county commissioner's court were we're awarding people or just calling out people that have given strong support during this. I have been a member of Women of the Storm, representing our local area of the Texas Gulf Coast during the BP oil spill and the Restore Act, and the trying to get as much money as we can for our Texas coast, along with the other coastal states that were affected. And so I've done some lobbying and letter writing and emailing and that type thing. And so I was so honored to receive this. Cool.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad to be able to take the opportunity to acknowledge you for your wonderful work that you do out there. And, I have the experience just from a quick ride down to the beach to see what those hurricanes can do to our marshes, what the salt water can do to rice land, to cropland, to cow grazing land even, and then to see it come back and how important that is locally in our, not only our infrastructure, but in politically within that, it's on the top of everyone's minds, which, that's for me, a long time back in my childhood, it means a lot. And I know how important it is. And I know how important just as a sanctuary, as a place for things to grow, as a place for things to be born, how amazing all of those natural resources are that, I sit back and take advantage of, while people like you go out there and go, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And who's going to pay for it? And I so appreciate that. So tell me a little bit about kind of what's going on, what's floating your boat now. What are you interested in that you're working on, and what can we help with?
Well, besides my work, I've got our kids are all grown and out of the house, so I've got to keep busy. So I have several projects going on right now, as you can see. Is it? I am a board member of the Lone Star Coastal Alliance. And
Okay.
what that is, it's a group of people around this area, Houston and around, that we want to enhance coastal resilience and bring more to the economies of the local coastal areas, not only the beach, but Beaumont and all around.
Sure.
For like the mom and pop stores, bringing ecotourism, the Gulf Coast kayaking, the birding is in world-class birding here.
That's
So
right.
we're working on that, developing more ecotourism in this area. So I'm very involved in that. And in fact, I'm having another Zoom meeting. That's all we do is Zoom, but that's okay. And then also, I'm on the Texas Regional Council for the National Texas part of the National Parks Association. And so we're involved in planning the longleaf pine in the Big Thicket, where a lot of that was decimated during those big hurricanes we've had. I've been involved in planting coastal grasses and coastal prairies, and then also dune planting. So yeah, you just,
I've seen at the beach in particular with these Greek letter named hurricanes that have rushed in here with no real warning, and how effective dune replanting can be, how effective they are at slowing the advance of a rise in the tide. In that, we talk about the ecosystem. You go back to the Sargassum Sea some 10 years ago, maybe, that just dumped all kinds of seaweed on our beaches that was pushed up and then created dunes. Well, ultimately that decays and then plants come out of it. And what that's done on our coastline, at least in West Chambers County East Chambers County and Jefferson County, is hold those dunes in place while that water has continued to come in. And that's why I see how important all of these things are. And yet in the back of our minds, these are not something that come to us as a priority for funding.
Right.
And it does.
The dunes are the first line of defense.
Yes.
The marshes and the wetlands are the sponge. So dune restoration is imperative, and it's not achieved by my mother started me on all this, so I guess I inherited this from her. But she called them the beach scrapers, the pushing the false dune, that doesn't cut it. And they've got to grow. We've got to plant. And you're right, the seaweed it might be unsightly, but it's necessary. Right. But planting dune plants with their fingers of root systems that hold it together, you can just imagine.
Oh, yeah.
We've got to keep rebuilding them. And we are like in a bullseye, unfortunately, for these storms. Once they cross the Yucatan, thank goodness for the prevailing winds, the cold front pushing. I'm sorry for our sister state, Louisiana, but I mean, come on. This is unbelievable. We're having hurricanes in almost November. I mean, my goodness.
Well, and quickly, I want to acknowledge you for your work there, number one. But number two, tell us quickly about what's going on with bees.
Oh, now that's another great thing. Bees, I mean, they pollinate. We have food because of these pollinators, and not only bees, but all the pollinators. But we've got to, our city is now a bee city, which it's a real designation. I've got the bee city sign out in my front yard.
Oh.
We need to have pollinator friendly gardens and yards. Quit using the heavy duty pesticides. I had this yucky thing on one of my hibiscus that the bees love, and you turn the leaf and it has this gooey white stuff. So I read about it, and I did a bath of a mild soap and water and wiped each leaf. I mean, granted, it wasn't like a big tree, but it got rid of them.
Well, so tell me, how can folks get in touch on this? How can we find out about what to do, how to do it, where to do it, that kind of thing?
Bee City has a Facebook page, and
great.
I think they have an Instagram page too. But anyway, you can check that out. We've got a lot of good, resources and information on that.
Good.
And we have a community group, and the Beaumont Conventions Bureau is involved in that. And in Cattail Marsh, we just had a meeting out there. But planting pollinator-friendly plants it's a fun thing, because who doesn't love blooming things in your yard?
Right.
Anyway,
we've got to wrap up. But
okay.
Vivian Todd, I know you're actually a realtor too on the other end. So Google Vivian Todd, you can find her. But golly, this is great. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll do this again.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.